kids going back to school. CDC still recommends universal indoor masking for kids in school, students, staff. That seems out of step with some of the studies around the usefulness of masks for kids. There was a piece in The Atlantic, and I'll just read you a quote from it. It says, "We reviewed a variety of studies, some conducted by the CDC itself, some cited by the CDC as evidence of masking effectiveness in a school setting to try to find evidence that would justify the CDC's no end in sight mask guidance for the very low risk pediatric population, particularly post-vaccination. We came up empty-handed." So especially with the president going to Congress to ask for more money for a new vaccine and more money for the CDC, should we keep funding these studies if the CDC is not making guidance that follows the results of those studies?
Here's what I'll say. We did something that the last administration was incapable of doing, which is putting to forth a strategy to really truly deal with works. We are in a different place than we were 2-3 years ago. But let me.
The CDC does not seem to be responding to the data.
I'll say this, and you're talking about schools. CDC, they're the experts. They use science to come forward with their guidelines, and it is important that we allow them to do their work. I know you're asking me about data, but all you got to do is look at where we are as a country.
I know, and I am looking around, and 16 states don't have any mask mandates. 16 states follow CDC guidance closely for schools. 9 states have banned school mask mandates. There's a patchwork, basically, of protocols.
But here's the thing.
And so when the CDC is saying one thing and people are obviously in a better place.
Here's the thing. These are guidelines by CDC. These are not mandates. Hold on. These are not mandates. These are guidelines by CDC laid out. It's different. There's a reason why it's different, because they make the decision. I'm going to keep going. Okay. All right. We got to go. Sorry, guys. The brief, when the program paused for a moment, he stepped out.
But he didn't put it back on. Is he out of practice? Is he like so many Americans?
Look, what I can say is we got to put this all in context. Afterwards, we planned for the president to leave when there was a pause in the program, so that it would minimize him being in the room. He did just that. And I also would want to add is before the event started, the president spent a good amount of time with the Captain Taylor, and his family, and everybody was masked because he wanted to spend that quality, important time hearing from this hero, hearing his stories, and really thanking him one-on-one, and also with his family around him. And so the president, in every way that we could yesterday, followed the CDC guidelines. And again, he had his mask off briefly, and then when there was a pause, he walked out.
Just very quickly, should those guidelines still be the same? They're a year old now.
That is
right?
not for me to speak to. It truly isn't. This is something that CDC decides on. They are the experts. They are the ones who certainly provide the guidelines. It is not for me to speak to.